everyone, Jessica Michaels here with another layout for Cherry on Top Crafts. Today is Technique Tuesday, and this month we are featuring our product focus on dry embossing. So I'm going to grab my mini album here. This is my traveler's notebook, and I am just cutting down a couple pages using some color block textured cardstock to start. My page on the right is actually going to go in a page protector. That's why it's a little bit smaller, and then the one on the left is actually just a full page that I make to it actually measures the same size as my page protectors, but I do them out of paper themselves instead. So I'm just pulling out the Simple Stories Here and There collection, and I'm backing my photos with some of the pattern papers from the smaller paper pad. And then that's going to start this one off. I'm grabbing some dies. These are my stitched hexagon dies, and I believe they were by Echo Park. And I'm grabbing those along with my manual die cutting machine here beside me and an embossing folder. So I'm pulling out these dies as well by Spellbinders. These ones are still in the shop, so if you don't have them, I definitely recommend you grab them because I have been using them on all my layouts. So I've got my dies, I've got my little hexagons cut, and I ran them through this embossing folder through my Big Shot machine, and I created this beautiful wood grain texture on my little hexagons. And that's what I'm going to focus using on my layout for my dry embossing. So grab your embossing folders. You can do this with dies. You can do this on your pages themselves if they're smaller. You can do so many things with your embossing folders, and I am super excited to see what the other girls come up with on the team as well this month. So we have Technique Tuesday videos every Tuesday for you to check out and learn different ways how to use your embossing folders and do some dry embossing. So just continuing this spread, I am just layering up my photos, distressing the edges. I've got 2 photos there that I am stacking on top of one another, and I'm going to adhere that down with some washi tape. The page on the left is going to be an interactive page because it's not going into that page protector, so I can actually just keep that open and fun and make it interactive. Using some of the washi tape here from the collection, there I just had like a magical moment. I don't know if you want to rewind and watch that again, where my little border strip actually flies off the page, and I don't know how in the world it did that, and I'm just now noticing it, but I'm seeing that when I'm editing this video. So I am just going to continue this layout, pretend that didn't happen, and I am punching the holes with my little hole punch, and then I'm going to use my reinforcement punch to create some little circles to go around those using one of the pattern pages from the paper pad. I'm going to go ahead and start layering my hexagons onto these little layouts using my Deluxe Nuvo glue. It'll dry clear, so I don't have to worry if I'm too messy with it or any of it kind of sloshes out the sides. And then I'm just stacking my photos there together right there. I'm using the hexagons themselves to actually line each other up. So if I want blank spaces in between them, I'm placing one down and not gluing it and then placing the next one beside it. So I hope that makes sense. That just helps me to keep everything nice and lined up. I've got my photos there. I've started adhering them down on my page. I don't want to adhere all of them down just yet because I know I'm going to continue stacking my hexagons throughout both of these pages. So I want to keep this going. So I'm just going to keep building this and pop down my little hexagons, and then I will finish embellishing this. I'll fast forward that for you just a little bit there. I've got my hole reinforcement punch, just punching out some holes. I actually punched out enough for 2 pages worth, not remembering that I have just 1 page here that I need them for, but it's okay. So I've got them here. I'm just using my Nuvo glue again to adhere these little hole reinforcement things on here. And I just love those. There's actually a star punch too in the shop that I just love so much. It's to go over those holes as well, but instead of being circles, they're star shaped, and it's just super cute. I just love to use them on my little travel pages. So I am just going to go ahead and adhere my border strips down. I'm actually going to do some machine stitching on those as well, so I'll do that here in a moment. I'm using some of the washi tape from the Here and There collection to adhere down my second photo there that's stacked on top, and then I'll embellish the back side of it. Just trimming off my hexagon edges there that were overhanging off my layout, and I'm just continuing the flow to the other side now because I've got all of them lined up on that left side page, but I wanted to make sure that they were going to line up and look like they kind of all flowed through both pages. So I'm just using those to go the whole way across. And then I've got my other photo here. These are actually some photos while we were camping. We had just pulled into our spot, and of course the boys just love building campfires and love helping Daddy with that. So they were hauling logs over to our campfire, and they actually filled up the entire fire pit and stacked it really, really high. My husband had to actually take them all back out and start over, but the boys just loved helping and carrying the wood over to the fire pit. So they're always super helpful, which is really, really great, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm just continuing to build these little hexagons still on this page. I'm just about done, but I have to cut out a few more to go on here. So I'm going to grab some paper scraps from these ones and just cut a few more to flow the whole way across the page at the bottom there and finish this off. As you can see, I did leave some empty spaces, so that's not perfect. It's not covering the entire page, but I like to use little empty spaces. Sometimes I put embellishments in them. Sometimes I just leave them blank for dimension. But I'm just going to cut a couple more just for down here at the bottom area. So I'm just adhering these down with the glue, and then I'll trim off that excess as well. I've got my border strips on there that I cut with those Spellbinders dies. I'm going to do some machine stitching in some black thread with my Brother sewing machine. I don't have anything fancy. It's just, it sounds fancy. I have a Brother Project Runway edition. So I think it was like a special edition at one point in time from that show, but honestly, it's not as crazy as it sounds. I use it for paper all the time. I also use it for fabric, but I just make sure when I am using it for fabric, I change out my needle because paper does tend to dull your needles very quickly. So if you're swapping between the two, just remember to change out that needle. So I've got my photo down now on this side, and I'm just going to pull out some embellishments from the collection and finish this up. So here is my finished spread. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this process today, and I hope I've inspired you to create something and pull out those embossing folders. If you guys have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.